Yo, what's happening, good people? How y'all doing tonight on this Monday night? I bet y'all like, man, what D doing talking after the hours of 10 o'clock at night? Well, today is Martin Luther King Day still, and I want to just give my reverence and my respects to the late, great Dr. Martin Luther King, but also want to say hello, everybody. Welcome to the Point of View. It's your boy, Mike D, a.k.a. DDE80, a.k.a. 13th Wonder of the World, a.k.a. Mike DZ. I appreciate y'all listening to me on the Point of View. What a great day of sports. Shout out to the Point Place family, Bobby Reezy. Go out there and get that Loaded Love album on all streaming services. M Breezy, shout out to M Breezy, shout out to Naya, shout out to my sister. I love all y'all. And thank y'all for tuning in to the Point of View on this Martin Luther King Day. For those of you that were watching the Eagles and the Buccaneers, we know that the Buccaneers beat the Eagles. It's a tough loss for the Eagles. The Eagles should have been motivated to beat this team. According to Vegas, they had the Buccaneers losing by 3, but the Eagles just didn't have enough to get to where they need to get this year. And this is a very disappointing year for them because everybody had them going back to the playoffs. Not the playoffs, but going back to the Super Bowl. And they came short. And I know that my brother Kendo is not liking what happened with the Eagles. There are going to be questions with the defensive coordinators and the defensive coaches because that's where the Eagles struggled at a lot. It wasn't the offense, it was the defense, in my book. Jalen Hurts played great, but he has to get himself back together. He has to go into the lab of the field this year, this offseason, and figure out what's going on with them. Nick Sirianni and all those boys, they got to look in the mirror at themselves and figure out what happened this year. Why was the year before, last year, we were a competitive team that went all the way to the Super Bowl. Now this year, we get bounced in the wild card. We didn't even get a chance to play in any other games. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this whole ordeal of the playoffs in the NFL now, because now you're looking at teams that have a chance. This thing is wide open in the NFC. I don't even think San Francisco, they are the favorites now to come out of the NFC. There's no Dallas. There's no Philadelphia now. Detroit is your toughest competition. The Bucks are going to be there because they have a shot. Green Bay's going to be there because Jordan Love shocked the world yesterday. But those are the guys that you got now left. You've got, in the NFC, you got the 49ers, the Packers, and you got the Lions and the Bucks. There's a possibility you might see the Detroit Lions versus the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. Now, if you go to the AFC, and I'll tell you right now, what a great game this is going to be between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. That's going to be a great game. Then you got C.J. Stroud going up against Lamar Jackson. I think that Lamar Jackson them beat the Texans. No disrespect to C.J. C.J. had a tremendous season. He's going to be the MVP. But I'm telling you all now, this is going to be tough on him to go up against that Ravens defense coming up next week. But the Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills are going to be something serious because Josh Allen has no excuse now. He has an opportunity to get these guys to the AFC Championship. But you never go up against a guy like Patrick Mahomes because Patrick Mahomes still has the it factor in the game of football. One Kelsey is gone. Will the other one be gone? We'll figure that out. Then there are reports talking about we don't know if Jason Kelsey is coming back to the game. They think he might be retiring. I hope not. I hope he tries to go back and do something else. But shout out to Baker for what he did this year. Baker did absolutely a phenomenal situation. He went there leaving the hands of the Buccaneers, who were in the hands of one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in Tom Brady. He stepped into the shoes of Tom Brady and Todd Bowles, who they thought could possibly have been fired this year, got these guys to the playoffs. And so now you have to look at this and say, man, is Baker going to be the quarterback of the future for these guys? Could be. We'll see. He beat out a competitive Saints team that came in, had turned it on late. He beat out a Falcons team who turned it on late. So Derek Carr now has to realize he's with the Saints. What is he going to do to try to get these guys back into the fold? Because that's another question that they got to realize. As for Philadelphia, very disappointing. As for Dallas, very disappointing. As for the Miami Dolphins, very disappointing. Because those three teams should be still playing right now, but they're not. They're going home. They got bounced in the wild card games. So it is tough to see that happen with teams that you thought and knew that were better than what they had, better than what they played. And that's a hard pill to swallow when you see that happen with a team like a Philadelphia or Dallas and the Miami Dolphins. But shout out to the Buccaneers as well as the Lions, who has a shot this year. Of course, the 49ers, the Texans, Green Bay, Baltimore. Those are the teams that are in there now. And later on this week, I will be going back over these games and giving my personal results on what I think is going to happen in the games as well. The Lakers are playing right now against the Thunder. They're in a tight squeeze. I'm hoping that, being that it's Martin Luther King Day, that the Lakers have some type of motivation to go out there and stop these Thunder. They played them already, and the Thunder have beaten them, but they have also beaten the Thunder as well. The Thunder has one of the best records in the NBA, as well as in the Western Conference, as well as the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're on the top of the mountain right now in the Western Conference. The Clippers are coming up as well. Denver's still there. Golden State's playing disappointing again, even though they got Draymond Green back. Very disappointing to lose to a Memphis team that does not have Ja Morant. Despite Marcus Smart, Desmond Bain, Jared Jackson Jr., and all those boys are there, Steven Adams and all those boys are there, there is no way that the Golden State Warriors lose to a Memphis team like that. And, I look at it and I say, wow. They had a whole slew of NBA games come on today. And, more power to all the NBA, all the sports as well that happened today. If you look at it, you see Jimmy Butler returns and the Heat beat the Nets. Like I said, Draymond returns but loses to the Grizzlies. The Pistons got a win today by beating the Wizards. Sixers, Mavs, Magic, you know, Hawks, Cavaliers, Celtics, and Utah, who is blowing out the Pacers as well. They're in the mix as well. So, you know, they won games today on this great Martin Luther King holiday, Martin Luther King Day, which we all respect. I don't go to work on Martin Luther King Day because I've always showed reverence of him. So, you know, it's just the way that it is. And so we'll give, you know, our flowers to the great Martin Luther King because he deserves the respect of what he does. So shout out to the late great Martin Luther King and how important Martin Luther King Day is. It's very important because I've listened to the speeches of him and, you know, the I Have a Dream speech where he's looking for equality, social equality everywhere. And we're still getting to that point where it's not happening like we wanted to, but with the help of the good Lord, it will happen. Um, and Martin Luther King was just real about what he said. He was real about his speeches. He was real about how he came. We'll have more about Martin Luther King. I'm quite sure next month, February is Black History Month. It's 29 days this year as well. We're in a leap year. Malcolm X, who was a guy that, you know, by any means necessary, but he also thought that Martin Luther King was a joke at times. But Martin Luther King, to me, wasn't no joke. He's very important, just as well as Malcolm X. Malcolm X is very important as well. But, you know, we'll talk about all that Obama and Garvey and all those guys. We'll talk about all those guys in February for Black History Month. But like I said, Martin Luther King Day is very important to me because I respect what he did. I respect his, you know, his speeches. I respect his equality, what he tried to do for not only African Americans, but everybody across the world, because everybody respects Martin Luther King. And for that, he gets nothing but respect from me. Even, you know, still in this passing, we still respect this day. There's no corner in the United States where there's not a Martin Luther King Street. Martin Luther King Street is everywhere in the United States. So there's a Martin Luther King Street everywhere. Yeah. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw. Tonight, it was an interesting show. Seth Rollins retained the world title, which I knew he was going to do against Jinder Mahal, even though the odds were against him. And you saw Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. They're going to have a little feud right now. I don't know how long it's going to be. It's probably going to be for a couple of weeks or a week. They're going to fight next week as well. And we're going to see what happens between him and Drew and Damian Priest. Interesting to see that. I am interested to see what has happened with Jey Uso. I see that Jey Uso is now intertwining with the New Day and with Imperium. Folks, he is one guy that I think can take the Intercontinental title off of Gunther. Keep an eye out on that. If Jey Uso and Gunther start fighting, Gunther might be in trouble with the Intercontinental title. I'm just saying that because I think that's what it is right now. We saw the clips for the preview for Friday Night SmackDown. There will be a contract signing between the Fatal 4-Way participants, Roman Reigns, will be defending his title against Randy Orton, LA Knight, and AJ Styles in a fatal four-way. The contract signing is this Friday on SmackDown from the ATL. Next week, shout out to Louisiana because Monday Night Raw is coming back to the NO next week at the Smoothie King Arena. Wow, right before the Royal Rumble. Guys, wrestling is coming to Louisiana this month and in the next 2 months, which is in March. WWE is going to be in New Orleans for Raw Monday. The end of this month, which is January, AEW will be in Shreveport, Louisiana, Bossier City, Shreveport, Louisiana, at the Brookshire's grocery store arena, where it used to be the CPTEL arena, but AEW is going to be there for Saturday Night Collision. I'm trying to go there. Me and some of my boys are going to try to go there. I don't think the old man's going right now because he didn't say anything about it. But as I know right now, me and the boys are going to be there. I think my little homeboy is going to be there as well. So we're gonna go there and enjoy the wrestling in Shreveport. Then later on, Alexandria, Louisiana, at the Rapides Coliseum, we'll have WWE live event coming there in March sometimes. And I'm going to try to go to that as well to, watch my wrestling. I did say this year I'm going to be trying to go on other venues, try to have a couple more vacations, maybe a couple of weekend trips where we go some places and enjoy ourselves and come back. But this is what it's going to be, folks. And this is what we're going to do. We're not going to let nobody stop our joy. We're going to be in the mood to do what we need to do to make it happen. So enjoy ourselves, live clean, live free, have fun, and ask God to just watch us through the thick and thins, through the ups and downs of this year. That's all we ask for. But back to wrestling, like I was talking about with wrestling, Cody and Drew had their moment. Shinsuke Nakamura still saying that his story with Cody's not over with. The tag team division on both women and men is getting interesting. I think, you look at DIY. DIY will probably become the number one contenders to go up against, the Judgment Day. The Awesome Truth as well probably going to be in that mix as well, even though R-Truth is funny as you know what. He still is a member of the Judgment Day. He did win the match over JD, but they treat him like he bad. They treat him pretty bad. The women's tag team division, Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, they're probably going to be the number one contenders. Tegan Nox and Natalya, they're there, but they're not there. Chelsea and Piper, they're the former tag team champions. They're going to try. Candice and Indy as well. They got their names in the hat. So the women's tag team title division is starting to pick up, folks. And it's the right way to do it, just as well as the men's. I don't know what's going on with the Creed brothers. The Creed brothers need to be back in the hunt. You still got the New Day with Kofi and Woods whenever they get Imperium. Whenever Vinci comes back from his injury, the men and women tag team division is starting to pick up in wrestling. With the women's division, Rhea Ripley, the Raw side, Rhea Ripley could be going up against either Nia Jax or Becky Lynch. The fans want to see Becky versus Rhea at Mania. I think you go with, if you're going to do it, I think you go with Nia versus Rhea versus Becky and make Rhea beat both of them. Becky rides off in the sunset for a while, comes back. Nia still be the irresistible force that she is without the title. Because you can market her without the title. And that's interesting to see how they're going to do that going forth and forth in the business. Because it's going to be interesting to see what happens on the SmackDown side as well. Because I still believe that Bayley, is going to be the one that takes the title from Io Sky. I'm saying it. If Naomi comes in, that might be a monkey wrench. Here's another thing. People are forgetting that Jade Cargill could be debuting at the Royal Rumble. And if she is, where does she fit at in all of this? See, this is the moving parts that I'm talking about in wrestling. Next week, CM Punk and Cody Rhodes have a talk. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens with that as well. You know, Akira Tozawa beats Ivar, but gets beat up after. He gets destroyed. So now you see, you know, Ivar loses to Akira, and that's a big victory for him as well, because I think that, you know, you can make a little something happen with that, with the Viking Raiders versus Alpha Academy. Ivar, for a big guy, can move. Sarah Logan also, and Maxine Dupree, that could possibly once again be a match as well as it goes on. But Monday Night Raw was interesting tonight. It was very interesting. Now the question is, where does Jinder Mahal go after losing tonight? Does he go back to the back of the line? He needs to. Or does his tag team finally get the main event push that they should have had a few months ago? I think you go with putting those guys back on TV, doing what they were doing at first, make them relevant again, not irrelevant, but make them relevant. So this is the thing that people need to understand as we go forward to the road to WrestleMania, as well as, you know, AEW goes to the world, to the road of their pay-per-view, where Sting has his last match. Samoa Joe has so many contenders on his back. What's going on with the United Kingdom? The Undisputed Kingdom. Adam Cole, the Kingdom, Taven and Bennett, Roddy Strong, and of course Warlow. Where do those guys go? Orange Cassidy is going to be in a match with Roderick Strong soon for the AEW international title. What happens now? Christian Cage against Dustin Rhodes for the TNT title. Where does Edge go now? Edge is at the back of the line. He's trying to walk his way back up to the top. So many moving parts going on in wrestling. TNA now, the thing that they have going on, they're once again, now they're possibly, you know, a brand that you could, you know, involve yourself in watching now. Because with Dolph Ziggler there, along with Dana Brooks, what are they going to do now to help TNA get back up to where they need to be? Because, folks, before AEW was there, TNA was the second brand. They could possibly be the second brand again, but they're not on AEW's level. Not right now, but they can be. So with the moving parts of all this going on in wrestling, you know, what does Tony Storm have now that Deonna Purrazzo's in AEW? What about the TBS title with Julia Hart? Who's her new contenders? You know, you got to think about these. Where does Jericho and Sammy go now, even after they lost to Big Bill and and Ricky Stark, excuse me. You know, what now for them? Where does FTR go now? Do they still fight with the House of Black or do they move on? Daniel Garcia. Where's Bryan Danielson? You know, what is he going to do for AEW now? The Blackpool Combat. What did they pick up now, especially John Moxley, from losing to Eddie Kingston for the AEW Continental title? You got to think about it. These are moving pieces that are going on in wrestling that everybody, you know, needs to be aware of. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with everything going on right now in the game of sports, you know, in the game of basketball, football, and pro wrestling. It's always a storyline somewhere, folks. Somebody's always trying to finish their story. So we'll see who finishes their story as WrestleMania and as Revolution and as TNA starts to blossom again. We'll see where all of that helps and makes and sees, you know. Always looking towards the future, living in the present, not in the past. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am Mike D, a.k.a. DDE80, 13 Wonder of the World. It was nice to talk to you guys on Martin Luther King Day. You guys have a great night. God bless you. God keep you. I love all y'all. One, keep your head up. Always pray to the man.